Black Enterprise presents the 40 Under 40 honorees in business, featuring a group of rising moguls, social entrepreneurs, and business leaders. Angelina Darasaw, founder and CEO of C-Suite Coach. John Henry, co-founder and co-CEO of Loop Insurance. LaRon James, CEO, James Group International. Matty J. Ade, CEO, Digital Brands and Clubhouse Influencer. Vernon Jones, founder of Equity Coin. For more information on all of our honorees, log on to blackenterprise.com/40under40.
What's going on, everybody? It's CEO Matty J, aka Mr. Document the Process. And by God's grace, I've been invited to the 40 Under 40 Summit to talk about mindset and how important it is to have a proper mindset to achieve our success and achieve the goals in our lives. So I'm going to be talking about the little frameworks that I use to be able to achieve consistent success in my businesses and most importantly, in my personal life. So let's get started. I have a screen share to share, but before I share my screen, I'd like to share a little bit about my simple story. In my story, I came to realize that as I was building my businesses, I was hustling backwards because I didn't first focus on the things that would develop in my mind, like reading different books, watching different documentaries, having the right mentors, organizing my environment, organizing my personal finances. So all the things that I didn't do proper in my business journey, I made sure I documented those steps so I can help fast track other people's successes in their journey. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen and share this framework with everybody. So hopefully everybody will be able to tap in it and duplicate and replicate the success framework for themselves. So here, what we're looking at is my business development guide. For those who don't know, I actually help people consult with their business development, but I realized that while working with them on their business development, the real problem wasn't their product, wasn't their services, wasn't their marketing. It was us, the ones who were actually operating the business. So there's a model, the 3P model. There's the product, people, and process. No matter how good your product is, no matter how good your process is, if you have the wrong individuals, the wrong people running the business, it's gonna be very difficult to be able to achieve our goals. So me realizing this, I want to create a framework that we can use to be able to increase our probability, our conversions to be able to become successful. All right, so this is the framework. So when it comes to business development, what I've done is I've compartmentalized the different stages on business development. A lot of people think they need their website, their social media, all that is good and dandy, but here's the thing. The key piece is our mindset, our character, our personality before we get into those tangible items when it comes to our business. So if you look at this framework, I have 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and so on. What most people do is this. They do all the right things, but in the wrong order, right? So we see here, I need a website, I need my social media, I need my LLC, I need my product development. All that is good and dandy, but again, the core piece are the prerequisites. Just like in high school, just like in college, before we can graduate to a certain grade, we need to make sure that we have prerequisites that qualifies to get to the next level. But what are the prerequisites that we need before we actually start a business? Is this. First, realizing that we are a business. We are an enterprise as personal individuals. That's the key piece. So if we open up this document, you'll see the breakdown on what type of mindset we have to even get started on building our mindset. So here's the thing. In this preparation level and stage, this is actually the stage where we tap into mankind's true desire. What's mankind's true desire? I 100% believe it's attention. Or in other words, it's to be heard, it's to be seen, it's to be felt, it's to be understood, accepted, appreciated, and ultimately loved. That's mankind's true desire. But how do we increase mankind's true desire for our individual selves? Mindset development, personal development, human development. Basically, what I'm saying is we have to become better human beings. But how do we become better human beings in relation to business? We need to be of service in the most impactful way. So what's the best way to be of service in the most impactful way? Again, it's developing ourselves. So let's look at this document. So trying to build an enterprise without building our personal mindset first is like trying to make an omelet without cracking the egg. In the past, we've blamed external issues, external reasons for our lack of growth. But today, we'll focus internally and understand that the real issue, when you say issue really slow, it's you. That's what we have to have the accountability and realization that most issues come from us not taking the responsibility on what we need to do to move forward. So what exactly is personal development? You look at this document, it says here, personal development is nothing more than determining exactly what type of person we would like to become and then being intentional and proactive about making it what? A reality. We want to make our intentions a reality. That's what I believe success is. Doing what we intended to do. Instead of being blown by the wind and blown by the waves, sometimes it's cool to be spontaneous, but it's even more effective and efficient to have a real plan on what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. So again, a personal brand is how people perceive us based on what we've consistently, that's the key piece, consistently show them, right? Share with them on our journey to reach our milestone and our goals. Here's the thing, whether intentional or not, we all have personal brands. We all have personal identities. So instead of us not having a random personal brand, let's be a little bit more intentional. But the question is how? This step-by-step system. I have a step-by-step system that we're gonna go through where we can analyze, reset, reinvent, and realize our personal identity as human beings and make sure that we're prepared for whatever opportunities appear in our life. And that's the key piece. It's having preparation for opportunities when they come our way. But the only way we can have preparation for opportunities that come our way is if we truly develop our mindset, truly develop our personality, truly develop our character. So in order to do this though, there's a framework that we need to follow. We need to be motivated. We need to be inspired. We need to get educated on this. We need the instructions and we need help with the implementation. So what's the difference between these five frameworks? Motivation is stimulating reasons to move. My job as somebody who's experienced this and is trying to share this with others is to help motivate people to stimulate reasons why we should actually focus on our mindset and realize that's actually how we get to the bag. That's how we actually build our businesses. That's how we build relationships. We have to start off with the motivation and the reasons on why we should do it. Next is the inspiration. Inspiration is giving the belief that you actually can do it. There's a difference between understanding the reasons why you should do it and the reasons and the belief that you can actually do it yourself. We need to move from the motivation to the inspiration, and then we have next is the education. Having the right individuals who have the right experiences, who can give us 360 perspectives on exactly what to do. That's the education part. But then after education, what do we need next? We need instruction. Instruction is teaching us the how, not just the what. We can get that information on YouTube on what to do, but the how is really the sequence, step-by-step formulas on how we can actually implement this and activate this situation, which is the next stage, implementation. Implementation comes from accountability systems, having the right accountability partners, and tracking systems so you can be able to actually activate the things that you've learned, that you've been educated on, that you've been inspired on, that you've been motivated on, so we can actually move on to the next step, which is actually putting it into practice. So that's the framework we use. But what framework are we going to use this towards? Again, it's all about mindset, personal development. But what's the framework on how we can actually build our mindset and personal development so we can build profitable businesses that we can pass down to our families? Together, we're going to learn these 9 steps. 1, a system on how not only to get inspired, but always keep that flame inside of us to stay inspired. Secondly, when it comes to personal development, knowing how to self-evaluate ourselves and have self-awareness. That's one of the biggest pieces when it comes to mindset, personal growth, personal development, is having a proper system for self-evaluation, self-awareness. If we don't know ourselves, we can't grow ourselves. So we have to have the right questions asked, the right systems asked, the right personality test asked, so we can always stay on top of us knowing truly who we are at the very moment. Third, we need to know how to create our goals. Personal development, all about knowing how to create goals and then keep us accountable by signing contracts. If I was to partner with an individual for a new venture, a new enterprise, typically, in order for that business relationship to start, we typically have contracts, we typically have agreements. But here's the thing. When we're starting our own personal development, that means we need to create a contract with ourselves. So in this stage, this third stage, what we do is we literally write down our goals, put a time on it, put a date on it, and make sure that we have an area in that document to sign it ourselves, take a picture, post it on our social, and let people know that I agree to myself that I'm going to be working on these goals for the next 90 days. The beautiful thing about posting these goals is that your friends, your family are now going to know what you're going to be working on. So they're going to do everything in their power, not to hinder this process, but also to what? Help elevate it. Fourth, in personal development is organizing our environment. Our office spaces, our cars, our clothes. A lot of people don't realize that those things that we have surrounded around us is affecting us, affecting our movements. It affects our mindset. It affects a lot of things in our life, especially a dirty closet. A disorganized closet actually wastes 30 minutes before you get ready for work. And what happens if you're late for work? You don't feel as good. That means you're working less. That means if you're working less, you're less effective. And now if you're less effective, you're not performing as good. And if you're not performing as good, that's going to affect your pay. Think about it. This all came from a disorganized closet, right? So the things in our personal life have to be organized so we can run a what? Organization. So we can run an enterprise. The fifth thing in personal development is managing the media that we consume. Not being subscribed to these toxic media outlets, but subscribe to outlets like Black Enterprise that continuously gives us content that motivates us, educates us, inspires us, allows us to implement the things that we learn on a continuous basis so we can move forward. 6, we're going to organize our health and our appearance. Personal development, health and appearance. Health is wealth. When we go out networking, how we appear, how we dress is how we should be addressed. So those are things to consider when it comes to personal development. 7th, organizing the place and the people that we associate with. We all know the cliche saying, right? Birds of a feather flock together. But a lot of individuals aren't really intentional with the individuals that we actually associate with. And that's the stage that we work on that. The 8th thing, organizing the activities and the things that we spend our energy on. I don't believe that we can organize time or manage time, but I do believe that we can organize how we spend, how we invest, how we activate, how we use our energy in time. 9th, the very important thing is going to be in personal development is organizing personal finances. Those are the 9 things. Personal finances is super important. If we can't manage our personal finances, how difficult will it be to manage our business finances? Very difficult. So this is a 9-step framework that we're going to use to develop our mindset, develop our personal brand, so we can be able to have the foundation that we need to build our what? Enterprise. If we go through this document as well, there's something very important I want to share before we conclude. I want to help people realize that when it comes to mindset, we can use this term called personality disorders. Personality disorders are the things that actually hinder us from growth. What are some type of personality disorders? Willful ignorance, laziness, immorality, selfishness, debauchery, greed, carousing, complaint, grumbling, hate. Nobody ever looks at these words as personality disorders, but that's what they are. But if we can identify what personality disorders we have based on the right means, we can figure out ways to be able to change and develop them. Super key when it comes to interacting with other individuals, working with other individuals, doing business with other individuals, right? All these things are going to require us having self-awareness and also realizing how we can eliminate, reset, rejuvenate the things that are going well with our lives and the things that are not going well, including purging our poor mindset. POUR is an acronym for passing over opportunities repeatedly. A lot of individuals don't see the proper opportunities because of these personality disorders that are blinding their vision. So if we can get rid of those personality disorders, we'll have better vision so we can stop missing out on opportunities when they present themselves. We're also going to be purging lack of commitment to change, eliminating lack of accountability, eliminating distractions, eliminating disorganization and lack of structure, eliminating boredom. A lot of individuals don't realize a lot of our pain and struggles and our vices come from boredom. We'll talk about that at a later time. Removing the process of overthinking. I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs, maybe even thousands, and I realized the common denominator on why we're not growing at the speed that we would like to grow is because of overthinking, analysis paralysis. A lot of things are simple and are easy as they seem to be. But sometimes because we lack the motivation to actually work, we try to overcomplicate it. We try to overread. We try to overstudy. We try to overinvest on things that don't actually start the process. Next, removing godless chatter and irrelevant activity, removing toxic media consumptions, removing time energy management, removing money mismanagement, removing toxic relationships. And when I say toxic relationships, I'm talking about evil spirits, complainers, people who have excuses, people who have problems for every problem. And I'm not saying that we should just completely cut off our friends, but sometimes we have to take vacations from them. Sometimes we have to analyze the people in our circle like sports teams do, where they hire, fire, bring on, because there's a championship, there's a goal. But a lot of individuals never know who to have partnerships with because they don't know what the championship is. And that's what a relationship is. It's a ship that takes us to the championship. And all our people in our circle, we need to make sure they're not stealing from us. When I mean stealing, I don't mean physical things. If we have the wrong people in our circle, they can be stealing our joy. They can be stealing our happiness. They can be keeping us in a situation where our mindset is not primed for success. It's just super important. So this is the framework here that we're using, right? And of course, all 9 of those phases get broken down into actionable steps on how we can do it. Before we continue, we have less than 15 minutes, but I'm going to talk about how we can self-evaluate and have self-awareness so we can start this process well. Because I believe that you already completed, congratulations, phase 1. I believe based on you listening to this conversation already, you're already ignited, you're already inspired to develop your personal brand and your mindset. So we can check off phase 1. So let's get into phase 2. Phase 2 is interesting because phase 2, I created an acronym called SPLASH. This acronym allows us to effectively self-evaluate ourselves. So this acronym, SPLASH, the S stands for identifying our story. In order for us to know ourselves, we have to know our story, right? So the story is comprised of you writing down every year that existed in your life. Since I'm 31, from the year 1990 to 2021, I'll write down each year. And for every year that I was born, I'll write down every major event that happened in my life, all the relationships, what schools I went to, what city I lived in, every major thing that happened in my life, I'll document it per year. And what you end up doing, you're going to end up realizing that what you're doing is you're creating your own documentary. Most individuals, they wait until their very old age for somebody to create their biography, create their documentary for them. But we can create our documentary right now, today, and impact not only ourselves, but those who are going to be able to tap into what we have been going through in our life, in our journey. And you'll realize that other individuals who are going through the struggles, they're going through the hardships and obstacles that you've been through are going to be impacted by how you've overcame it. But if you don't document your story, you're not going to be able to create that impact and that servitude that allows you to reach mankind's true desire, which is increasing our ability to be loved, heard, seen, understood, and appreciated. So the S stands for story. P stands for personality traits. We need to write down all our personality traits that we currently have. In order to know where we want to go, we have to identify where we're currently at. So when it comes to personality traits, what type of personality traits do you currently have? The neutral, the negative, and the positive. There's 3 categories of personality traits. There's a system that we're going to be able to provide to everybody on how they can identify what type of personality traits they currently have. The L stands for life lessons. We're talking about the major successes in your life, the major transitions, the major mistakes, the missed opportunities, everything that was completely major that you had a life lesson on, we're going to document it. Similar to how we did our story, year by year, we're going to document our life lessons. The A in SPLASH is represented by our abilities. In order to really know ourselves, I need to know my story, my personality traits, my life lessons, my abilities. Not just my abilities, but also what abilities I'm lacking. Me having this knowledge and this data allows me to work towards increasing it, optimizing it, honing into these superpowers that I have. Super important. Imagine if Superman didn't know what abilities he had. Imagine if Superman didn't know what type of weaknesses he had. He wouldn't be able to impact the individuals and save the individuals like that he would like to save if he didn't have this specific knowledge. The S stands for scares. What things are fearful for you? What things make us uncomfortable? What obstacles might hinder our growth? This is the S, our scares and stumbling blocks. We need to list them all and look that monster in its face. H, it stands for habits. What habits, good and bad, do we currently have consistently? E stands for events. Identifying and documenting what events currently entertain you, currently excite you, currently empower you, and currently educate you. Once you make that list, you'll be able to evaluate and say, wow, some of these things might be really toxic for me. These things I have on my entertainment list that I actually do for entertainment isn't actually helping me reach my goal. And these ones are. This will allow you to swift, move, change, pivot the things in your life once you actually document these type of events. D, the final of the acronym of SPLASHED. D stands for your declaration of what? Your core values, your principles, your purpose, your mission, and your goals. Most individuals don't know their own core values. And if we don't know our own core values, it's going to be very difficult to build a life on a foundation that doesn't have any core, like values like honesty, family, unity, friendship, whatever their core values are. Is very important for us to always identify them one by one. All right. So just like the United States policies, laws, they're built off the Constitution. The question is, what's your Constitution? What's your Declaration of Independence? And you'll realize you're going to start attracting other individuals who align with your core values to build amazing partnerships for your what? Your enterprise. Success starts with mindset. So this is a model that we use for personal development, self-awareness, called SPLASHED. And if everybody taps in this, you'll realize also that every 3 months, every year, you'll realize that you will have to always go back to your SPLASH model and always update it, because we're ever growing individuals, human beings. Things change. We have children. We change our career. We get older. We gain weight. We lose weight. There's certain things that we have a new person in our life that completely changes everything. We always need to stay on top of our self-awareness. We're looking in the mirror, putting our face in the water, and splashing ourselves for a quick reset, a refreshment. That's what that phase looks like. Before we end, let's do phase 3 since we got a little bit more time. Phase 3 is 90-day goal creation. We talked about signing the contract for yourselves, right? When we sign a contract for ourselves, this is what it looks like. For a 90-day goal creation, we're not going to put some fluff goals like I want to make $1 million this year. All that is cool and daddy. But if we create a framework that's a little bit more effective, it will help us out a lot. So what I did was I created a framework for our goals in an 8-section piece, right? A lot of people create financial goals without creating their career goals. A lot of people create their career goals without creating their health goals. All these goals are interconnected. So we need to make sure that these interconnected goals align with each other. So if we're going to create goals, make sure if you have faith, some type of spirituality, let's create one goal for this. What's one thing that you will do to increase your communication or your interaction with the God higher power that you subscribe to? Personal development. What's one thing you can do to develop your mindset, your character, your personality, your self-love, your care, your influence, your culture? One thing, just keep it simple. Name one thing each week that will allow you to increase your exchange of love and appreciation between your family, friends, partners, and association. 4, fitness, health, and appearance. List one thing each week that will allow you to look and feel amazing while carrying out your goals. We're not looking fit, healthy, and looking good for vain reasons. We're doing it so we can have efficiency, effectiveness with the activities that we're going to be carrying out to reach our what? Our goals. Finance and investment. List one thing each week that will allow you to create more assets and decrease your liabilities. Philanthropy goals. List one thing each week that will allow you to show your care and help for others, for their desires, wants, and needs, right? Sometimes we have our goals for our desires, wants, and needs, but to really, really, really expedite this process, I promise you, in order to help yourself, we have to help others. So this section is critical. Most people, when they create their goals, they don't think about helping anybody else with their goals at all. So this is why it's important. 7, career and business goals. There's a difference between finance and investment goals and career and business goals. So list one thing each week that will allow you to improve your value and skill sets so you can offer them as solutions and services for those in need. Whether it's a 9-to-5 or your own business, what are your career and business goals that you can increase your value, your market value, and your skill sets? Lastly, 8. 8 is your experiential goals. your experiences. List one thing each week that will allow you to gain more experience in people, places, and the things that you want to do. This is the goal creation. Once you create these goals for each one of these categories, you'll date it, you'll time it, you'll sign it, you'll get somebody that you really, really trust and respect to also sign it. And then you'll frame it. Then you'll post it on your socials. You let all your friends, family know that these are your goals and you need help to make sure that you accomplish your goals in a timeline that you promised yourself that you're going to be reaching them. And I'll tell you this, if we skip the step of letting your friends and family know about your goals, they might unintentionally hinder your process. If you have a specific health goal and your friends keep inviting you to the restaurant, not knowing that you have a specific health goal, it's going to be an issue. So we want to align everything so we can be able to achieve our success with the proper tools, resources, and most importantly, mindset. And because of time, we have to stop here. But don't feel sad. Don't feel bad. This resource, full resource, is free and is going to be available for everybody who wants to tap in. So again, I'm CEO Matty J. I want to thank everybody for joining the 40 Under 40 Summit and tapping into my segment when it comes to the successes of mindset. God bless you all. Have a good day.